everyone, so today we have a special guest on our YouTube channel. Her name is Angel. Angel, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Angel Babirye. I'm an intern nurse, but away from that, I'm also the team leader at Ask for Girls Foundation, an organization that's addressing sexual and reproductive health and rights challenges amongst adolescent girls and young women, but currently we're looking at menstrual hygiene related challenges. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, Angel, it's great to have you. It's always very inspiring to have young leaders and young women like yourself who are having a positive impact on the world. So, do you have any hobbies?
Yes. Oh wow, I do have a couple of hobbies. I love swimming, I love dancing, though I'm a terrible dancer. You don't want to see me dance. I also love singing, terrible singer, but I still sing regardless. I also love reading books. So yeah, that's most of it. I love traveling, though I haven't done a lot of it. It's something that I'm looking to do more, but yes, the little travels that I've had, I love them, absolutely. Yes.
All of what you've mentioned is something that we have in common, I believe. Speaking of books, do you have any favorite book?
Yes, I have a couple. I have The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I hope I pronounced his name right.
It's okay.
I really loved his book. It was more of like self-discovery, going into the world and discovering yourself. I really loved it. Then I also love, I think I love all the books by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She's a feminist. I like how she, I like how she tells her stories. I like how she basically like pulls you into the scenes and how she describes everything. Yes, those are my favorite. Americana by Chimamanda and The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
All right. So, Angel, could you please tell us more about your passions?
My passions. Thank you. That's a very nice question. It's something that I always love to answer. I'm very passionate about advocating for adolescent girls and young women, in particular their sexual reproductive health. It's actually what inspired me to start the work that we are doing at Ask for Girls Foundation. We started it in 2021 when we were still in uni. It was during one of our field work that we're doing as part of our nursing course. Like I told you earlier, I'm a nurse. So we're going to schools, we're talking to young kids and young children, and we're basically like talking about health, how to keep your body clean, how to keep your teeth clean, basic things, sanitation and personal hygiene. And we end up talking about, things that I'm passionate about now, menstrual hygiene. And I realized there's like a silence in the class. Like kids are no longer as comfortable as they were before expressing themselves or even sharing, about it. So my friends and I are probing further, and we're like, why exactly are we hearing, this silence when it comes to menstrual hygiene, or how they're handling that time of the month? And yet we had talked to the school nurse earlier, and she had told us that very many of these children are actually missing school because of their periods, or because they lack the appropriate materials to go through their period safely. So it's something that's kind of like triggered us to probe further, to want to know more. And it's basically like a rabbit hole we went under, because then we got to know about the different social and cultural myths around it, why people are not talking about it, the different materials that the children are using. And one day it was very heartbreaking, and I think that's one of the things that inspired me, knowing that kids cannot miss school because of something as basic as menstruation. Kids cannot drop out of school because they lack something as basic as a pad. So it was my love for seeing children complete school, stay in school longer, reach their fullest potential, thrive. It is basically what inspired me to start that organization, and I think it's one of like my biggest inspirations. I want to see these kids, like I mentioned, stay longer in school, not drop out because of things that are normal and basic and healthy, like menstruation. So it's basically what inspired us to do the work that we started. And so when we did, like I earlier mentioned, we're still in uni. We didn't have a lot of funds. We actually only had our upkeep. We had only our upkeep, you guys. So we had our upkeep. We're like, what can we do? We do not have the money to buy the pads right now, but we do have our knowledge because we're medical students and all. We do more research. We're like, let's go and read more about this. So we go to school. We're having an upkeep, we're using it as transport. We go to the school, sometimes we buy sweets for the kids, and we go and teach. We're like, we do not have the funds to provide the pads, but we have knowledge, and that what we have is what we shall provide. So we start teaching these kids, and then like it goes beyond the knowledge. It's also you're teaching them, but then they're going back home and they do not have the materials. You get, they're going back home with all this knowledge about how they should keep clean, but they do not even have access to the clean water. So what else can we do about it? You're giving them this knowledge, but they do not have, the pads to use. Kids are still using, they told me they're using socks. I saw these things. They were using socks, they were using rugs, they were using pieces of old bed sheets, like the blankets, the old pads. So we're like, what can we do about this? So me and my friends get together, we start mobilizing within our uni, that's Mbara University. We start mobilizing within our friends. We're like, guys, do you have anything you can donate? If you have pads, well and good. If you had pads and tissue, because they also need it, for their health, for their hygiene, then well and good. But if you do not have that, for example, the guys, and you can provide money for us to buy these products, even better, we'll buy it, we'll provide it. So we went knocking on different hostels, door to door. Those who are in hall were soliciting things from hall, and then those who are in hostels were also soliciting things from there. And we kind of like got a few items, some items, and we're able to like reach out to schools, including those with children living with disabilities. And that's basically how it started. But it was basically like, it basically started from there. It was like, no one should miss school because of menstruation or their period. So that's basically how it started.
Wow.
And that's what we did, guys.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I believe period poverty is one of those issues that need to be given more attention.
Yes.
By the people in power and authority.
Yes.
Recently, I think there was an article circulating about the girls in Bugembe, a certain district in Uganda, and they were using soil to make some of the period products that they use, soil in a polythene bag, so that the soil can be able to absorb the blood. Which is also extremely heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. But thank you so much for having this initiative that's creating a change. Yeah, it's creating a change. And eventually I think we'll get to a place where every girl can have a normal, healthy period and can go to school without any issues.
Yes.
So are there any particular projects that you're running? Projects within the campaign that you're running?
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, so the campaign that we're running is called Red, and it's basically it's a campaign where we're using the power of arts, education, and advocacy to reshape the narrative around menstruation. And what was Red looking at? Red was looking at most of the times when we come and tell people, oh, we're going to do something around, for example, menstrual hygiene. People are very quick to say, oh, they're only going to provide, pads to these people, but menstruation is so much bigger than that. And Red was looking at addressing it in its comprehensively, holistically, not only looking at the lack of period products, because it's not only that, yes, it is that, but it's also the stigma. It's also you and I going to public restrooms and not finding, disposal bins for where to dispose of our used pads, and having to put them in our bags and feeling very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable, very unhygienic, very demeaning. Red was looking at all that, but using the power of arts, education, and advocacy as a conversation starter. It was looking at also shedding more light on the different challenges that women are facing when it comes to menstrual pain, menstrual disorders, and diseases. Because very often we're African, and people are like, if you're not able to endure the pain of, endure period pain, how are you going to endure the pain of childbirth? But most times it's actually, that pain is an early warning sign for something bigger and deeper. So we wanted to use Red as a campaign to kind of like shed more light on the different, diseases that are silently plaguing so many women, but these women do not know where to go for help. And even when they do go for help, they're not given the care that, they're supposed to receive. For example, endometriosis diagnosis usually comes not on the first, not on the second, not on the third, but on the 8th visit, 1G. And how many women in our Ugandan setting can actually afford all those visits to the doctor? So Red was basically looking at sharing, more information around these diseases. Let people know the early warning signs. Let them know exactly where they can go and seek help. But then let us also shed more light on the different challenges that women are facing and not talking about. So that was basically what trade was about. And it also had an aspect that goes back to the question you asked previously about girls using soil and sand. On the bit of policy advocacy, we're looking at urging the government to develop a menstrual health policy so that we can have maybe subsidized prices around period products, so that no girl can drop out of school because they lack, period products. And then also we were finding that girls are using soil and sand, they're using rugs, they're using socks, and yet 50 years ago our grandmothers were using cotton or backcloth or name it. I'm not so sure about those products, but how come 50 years later, 30 years later, currently we're finding women using these products that are unsafe, unhygienic? What exactly can we do right? Where exactly did we go wrong? And what collective effort can we take to ensure menstrual equity for all? So that is the current project that we're running. Well, we're having school outreaches in it, we're having paint and sip sessions in it, we're having policy advocacy meetings around it, and it's definitely something that we've started this year, but it's something that we're looking at having annually so that we can actually see real change being brought about in this menstrual space.
All right. Thank you so much. I think a lot surrounding women's health has got very many myths around it, so many silences that are being enforced on women. For example, there is a saying that people casually throw around in case a woman is complaining about a pain or something they are going through. Like omkazi aguma. I get it, so it's supposed to be empowering, but it doesn't actually empower. All it does is just encourage people to keep what they are going through, not share, not reach out.
Exactly.
Yes, so we need the awareness and all the initiatives that are being propelled also by organizations so that we can have that change. And yes, why in 50 years are we still in the same place?
Exactly.
What is going wrong? What can we do better? Yes. Are there any particular values that are important to you as a person, professionally?
Yes. Thank you for that question. I think the very first one is integrity. I really value integrity, both as a person and also organization-wise. Are you doing the things you're doing in the light? Are they the same things that you would do in the dark? And then I also value honesty. I really, really, really value honesty. I keep on telling all my friends, just be honest with me. It might be harsh, it might be bitter, just be honest with me. And also accountability. I've realized very many people are not very accountable, but we have to be accountable for our actions. So I do value accountability, both personally and also organization-wise. And transparency. Like, please, let's be transparent in the things that we're doing. And also community, because community is at the heart of all the work that we're doing. At the end of the day, there is a population that we're serving. At the end of the day, there is people on the other side who are actually, who are benefiting from our work. So it's always important to design whatever we're doing, design interventions, make solutions, holding in mind that there is a community out there. They may not be at the same level of privilege that you have, but that's why you're in that place of privilege, so that you can actually advocate for them. So in everything that we do, we should always think about community. Is what we're doing good for community? How is it going to harm them? What are the benefits versus the harmful things? So yeah, those are kind of like my values.
Wow, this has been a very powerful session with you.
Thank you.
I think there is a lot to learn, even for myself, a lot to learn from the story you've shared of what has inspired you, your journey, your values, and how you go into how important these values are, not to just yourself but to everyone around you. I think that's very important. How do you manage to strike a work-life balance? Because there is you, Angel,
yes,
the young adult. You are a nurse right now, and you've entered the actual professional world. You're done with school, and then you're also running initiatives. Then you also have family. Then you have friends. How do you manage to strike a balance between all of these?
Honestly, that's a very interesting question, because I can't give a clear-cut answer to that. It is still something that I'm still trying to manage, and I won't lie. But I've also learned to know that this is work. I have to give it my all, and work is maybe starting at 8 to 5. Let me keep it at that. Then my family also needs me, because at the end of the day, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a cousin, I'm a friend, and these people also need me. So I've kind of like learned to kind of like timetable, like when it's time for work, let's give it our all, let's give it our best. Sometimes it will stretch and it gets into my personal life, yes, but it's very important to put those boundaries. Then also, like, make time for your friends. Bungie, I've gotten like stressed so many times, right? Because I was like, nah, I think I can push an extra hour. I'm sleeping at 1, working on work. No, you're a human being and you get tired. It's very important for you to take rest when it's due. Otherwise, your body is actually going to demand it, and then you're going to be less productive, less efficient, less effective, and it's going to end up taking a toll on both your personal and professional work. So it's one of the things that I've also learned. Then to also meet my friends, like I earlier mentioned, go for some paint and sip. Come for the paint and sip organized by us for girls on 15th June. Go for activities, meet your friends, go to the cinema, watch some movies. There is several parks in Kampala. Not several, okay, but go and sit down, meditate, pray, things of the sort. So I've also learned to take things slow, because advocacy work, it's very demanding, and sometimes the results are not seen as quickly as you'd want to see them. You go to a certain school, you're like, okay, now we've actually done this. There is access to water, there is access to period products, and then there is something else. The facilities don't have privacy, or the kids are not using the things you give them, or you get
there are always challenges.
There is always a challenge going to pop up. So that's why you have to know that you're going to do the best you can, and you just hope that whatever you're doing will bring about enough impact. But you're also a person who needs to feed into themselves as much as they give out. So I've learned to take rest. I've learned to kind of like timetable, and I've also learned you have to have some fun. You do.
You can also go clubbing.
Yes. But as I told you earlier, I love dancing. Terrible dancer, so you can go there and do whatever. Yeah.
I think you're doing very great work.
Thank you.
Honestly, you are doing very great work, and I think in 10 years from now, I know right now you must be already proud of what you're doing, but 10 years from now, you will look back and find the girl at this age and be very stricken by the work she has done. Your children and so many people will be looking up to you, and I believe by then you'll be doing even much bigger work. Yes, I think it starts slowly, and eventually maybe we would get into places where we can actually directly influence the policies that are in our country. But we have to start from somewhere. Yes, even though right now it is hard being a young person, getting a voice, being listened to, a lack of funds. Yes, it is very challenging. Yes. Are there any closing remarks that you would love to tell us? Anything that you would want to say?
Maybe first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really love this whole discussion, and maybe something that I want to tell people is very many people have kind of like seen the work that we're doing. It's not huge work that they'll be like, oh my god, you guys, you're doing huge work, but very many people usually come with the question of, oh Angel, how did you start? And I think we all see challenges in our community. We all have challenges we're seeing in our community. Find that thing you're passionate about. Please go out, research about it. You don't want to be ignorant about what you're passionate about. Go out and make research. Find people in those spaces and let them mentor you. And don't sit and let these challenges happen in your community when you can actually do something about it. Like I mentioned, we started with our upkeep. It's not like we have received huge funding.
I know, right? Upkeep for our someone at uni.
Yes,
you have to budget that upkeep that you're getting.
Exactly, and we're using the upkeep for like jumping on borders and going and teaching these young girls so that they can have safe and dignified periods. So just start with however little you have, and if you have a lot, then kudos, all to you.
Yeah.
Good for you. You're already like 10 steps ahead. But do not sit on yourself when there is something that you can actually solve. Very often we're in places of privilege in one way or the other. You get in one way or the other, and there's a whole community behind you that just needs you to amplify their voices. So just start, man. Just start. Just start and share your work. You never know who is watching. You never know who is seeing. You never know who would be like, I actually like what she's doing. Let me provide her with period pads. And then voila, you are only having transport, and now someone is actually providing you with period products. So in whatever you're doing, find your passion, start, find people in your niche, research, read about it, so that when you go in there, you're giving evidence-based information. You don't want to be that person who is like, no, you don't want to.
You need to have your facts.
You need to have your facts right. Yeah. So it's just basically like that's what I'd encourage. We can all do amazing work in our community. Just find that problem, solve it. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone, but together we can definitely make a difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we can definitely make a difference, and we can contribute in different ways, because we have different strengths. Let
Exactly.
not one thing discourage you. Like you see how Angel mentioned how they started. Sometimes you do have the energy, the morale, the passion to do something, but you might be short of funds. But regardless, you begin. Or you could have the money, but you aren't exactly someone who is very assertive or vocal,
yes.
or into advocacy, being directly in advocacy. You can still contribute. You find people like Angel, their organizations,
Yes.
and find ways you can contribute financially, or giving in kind donations, or
Even volunteering.
networking. Some people
Yes.
have very large networks, and the community could really use that.
Yes. And one last thing, do not give up, guys. Do not give up. As I mentioned earlier, advocacy work is very demanding. Very often you're not seeing the results of what you're putting in, and you're like, where are we going? But I'm actually very excited to share that people who began, knocking on people's doors in hostels and in uni, asking for period products, have now opened a menstrual booth in Barara, and we're going to be training adults and girls and young women. We're going to be training teenage mothers on how to make these period products, also sharing information around reproductive health, sexual reproductive health, information about their body so that they can make informed decisions. So you can basically see it's not it's not the sky up there. It's not something very huge, but it's definitely something that we can look at and be proud of. And we're like, is it really us, the uni girls back then, who now have, a space where we're actually training people who have a pad production booth. So it's baby steps, guys, but keep on pushing, because that was 2021. It's now 2024, and we're just hoping, the sky is the limit.
I think it's actually a great achievement. However much you keep saying it's not great, it is a menstrual booth. That means it can be a hub for very many people around, very many districts around.
Yes.
And honestly, it's the first time I've heard of something
Really?
like that.
Yes.
So it could be the first in Uganda. So it's great.
Thank you.
It's a big achievement, and
Thank
kudos to you and
It's
your
okay.
team
Thank
for
you.
all the work you've been doing, the dedication, all the efforts you've put into this, and you keep going, which is a great thing. So
Thank you so
and that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Right.
Bye.
Bye.